vehicle.
Good afternoon. Today is Monday, September 8th in the afternoon, and I'm here at the Capitol in Lansing here because, as you've seen over the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we've seen a lot of things coming out publicly via some of the news releases that we've been doing and updates about a lot of legislative issues happening right now. As we mentioned, that there's a lot of urgency on some of these because it is an election year. Basically, we have 6 weeks here before the election, and then after that there'll be some fast tracking too to get things wound up before the year end. So there's a lot of key issues coming into play right now. Now, one of the things that you saw come through is this update here. And for example, Senate Bill 685, which gives powers to the Department of Agriculture to come into our repair facilities unannounced and check the various things. I'm not going to focus on that right this minute, but that's one activity that's going on currently. The other thing is, as I mentioned, on July 30th, Representative Santana introduced House Bill 5716, which came from a segment done in the Detroit area with Ruth to Detroit WDIV News, where an 82-year-old man was taken advantage of by an unlicensed repair facility. Representative Santana called our office, called GCSI, and wanted to talk about how this could occur and what are the penalties and what are some of the problems. We had great conversation with Representative and members of the Secretary of State's office. Basically, what he's done is paralleled that language from the Automotive Dealers Association and the automotive dealers in the state of Michigan to put it upon the independents as well, that if they're an unlicensed repair facility doing, quote, business in the state of Michigan, end quote, then they would be fined up to $5,000 for the first occurrence and up to $7,500 thereafter, giving more power to the Bureau or Business Licensing and Regulatory Division, formerly known as the Bureau of Regulatory Services and Bureau of Automotive Regulation. Now, that's a huge milestone from what it used to be. It used to be they just basically hand them an application, tell them to stop business until they got the application in. So now there's finally teeth behind the law, thanks to Representative Santana. We imagine that's going to be fast-tracked through before the end of the year. Both Democrats and Republicans are liking the bill, liking the protection for the consumers, so we'll probably see that go through. Now, I want to concentrate on something that was going to be introduced at the same time that ASA Michigan was successful in slowing it down and not being introduced at that time. And that is a 62-page document that does not have a bill number on it yet because it's in blueback form, which basically says it's a final draft ready for introduction. This is it right here, as you can see. Now, why is this suddenly an issue? Because it's never gotten this far. Since 1974, when the law went into effect, nothing has been amended to this law like this is right here. These are a series of amendments being put forth by various interested parties. The Secretary of State's office has played a key role in many of these updates, and there's some language there that is a drastic change from what it currently is. For example, on the second page of this, and I'm sorry this is a little bit of a windy day, but on the second page it basically states that a customer means any interested party, which now opens the door for insurance companies and warranty companies to step in on behalf because they're paying the bill and be the interested party making the decisions on the vehicle. That is unacceptable. That is not what we want. That is not what the law was designed to do, and that was our argument, and they are listening to us because of that. We feel that it should stay that the customer is the owner or operator of the vehicle. Why the operator? Because in fleet situations, sometimes the operator may be an employee, but they're still an agent of the company looking out in the interest of the company, and who's in essence the owner of the vehicle. So when you get into a towing firm or a landscaping company, they have multiple employees, or parts companies, they have multiple employees that take the vehicles in for servicing. We don't want to stop that process, but we want to keep it the way the language is currently, which is allow the owner or the operator to make those decisions. Never should we let the interest of the consumer be taken out of their hands, which is what that language would do. That is why the bill was not introduced, was because we had a objection to that language, and it stopped it from being introduced back in July. Otherwise, this has already been going through the process. There's other pieces within this legislation, and I ask that the collision industry look at the legislation, or come to our meetings over the next 6 to 7 weeks that we're going to be having around the state, because we're having them with various companies, but at the same time I'm going to be covering some of this. There's some language in here that's going to make a key change for the collision repair industry. Whether you're on a direct repair program or whether you're not, there's language in here that gives a little bit of power back to the collision industry the way it should be. We're the experts repairing the vehicle. And we have got an open mind going into this with the legislators, and we need to have that support from you as well. Now, there's some other things coming up in 2015 that we'll worry about a little bit later, but autonomous vehicles, driverless vehicles, vehicle-to-vehicle information that's being processed. NHTSA, for example, right now is trying to get something through that all new vehicles in 2017 will have the ability to talk vehicle-to-vehicle, okay? That is something that's going on in the background. Now in Michigan, back in December of 2013, just 9 months ago, a law was quickly passed giving an extra layer of protection to the vehicle manufacturers and to third-party suppliers to the manufacturers for autonomous vehicles. We feel that we need to protect the repair industry with an extra tier or layer of protection as well. Okay? So that's something that in 2015 we're going to be worrying about and talking about a little more. But right now the urgency is this bill. Okay? Now, some questions have come in since I've been putting things out, and sometimes I've left some questions unanswered, and I apologize for that. But it's because so much is being thrown at the association right this minute. They were trying to keep you informed, trying to dissect the information, and put it out to you as best as we possibly can without causing panic. So, I'm going to put this down for just a minute. And I'm going to answer some of those questions. Now, what is the impact it'll have on my business? That's probably one of the first questions I receive. The impact is, obviously, we've heard about the fees being looked at. The fees may go up. They haven't changed since 1974. So it doesn't surprise me that we might see a little bit of a change in the fee structure. We're saying let's see some of the actions take place from the laws that we're trying to put through, some of the enforcement items that we've been asking for a number of years, protecting our repair industry who's doing it the professional and proper way. So I'm not sure that that's going to be a key issue or something that's of much contention, but it's still a discussion point. We've heard about this for over a decade about changes. Why should we pay attention now? In other words, is the association crying wolf or not? Well, as I mentioned to you, you saw I had 62 pages of a blueback. That means that is legislation ready to go. It has never been there before. And that is some of the efforts that the ASA has done with the Secretary of State's office and the Business of Licensing and Regulatory Division, that this is now coming about. Plus, we had the issue with the Consumer Protection Mechanism of House Bill 5716, like we talked about. So everything's coming to fruition right now. Now, there's a lot of things I can go into details of what's happened the last decade, where there was budget cuts that affected them being able to enforce it. The Bureau is back up, or the Business Licensing and Regulatory Division is back up to full staff. They have an extra analyst on board now. So a lot of things have happened since then, and we need to be proactive, not reactive. So that's why we need to pay attention. This is real. It's going to happen potentially with or without us. With us, we have an opportunity to change it the way it needs to be changed. Without us, you're going to get what you got. And we're just going to have to follow that, because it'll be too expensive and too time-consuming and too many years to try and change it. And quite frankly, with all the energy that ASA Michigan has put on this over the last 4 years as being one of our goals, I doubt that the association will take it on again. Okay? So that's why it's urgent and pressing right this moment. If ASA Michigan's been working on this, why do we need a lobbyist? Why the urgency? Well, I think I answered the urgency question. Like I said, it's an election year. So as a result, many things are trying to happen and changes are trying to be made. Now, we look at things and sometimes we get into these partisan politics and we wonder about, is this a Democratic idea, is this a Republican idea? All I'm here to tell you is both sides of the aisle have been working on this bill. We've got a Democrat who's introducing it along with other co-authors. ready to go with this, both Republican and Democratic. We have a Republican Secretary of State whose office has been working on this behind the scenes with them. And obviously by some of the language, there's been some influence made by some people that probably already have lobbyists. For example, the insurance industry, as we know, has strong lobbying firms and so forth. So there's a lot of people behind the scenes that as we're going through this, we see there's some challenges. But we need to have a lobbyist because, quite frankly, ASA Michigan has done the best they can to get it as far as we can. It's now at that level where we've gotten everybody into the stadium. It's time to play the game. So we've gotten you there, we've made this effort, and we're there now. We need to take it to that next level. We're in the game. So the lobbyists, that's what they do for a living. Okay, just like your technicians diagnose vehicles, repair the structure on the vehicles, repair the vehicles, replace the parts, or repair whatever's broken on the vehicle. They do that, not you as the owner, correct? Well, similarly, we've gotten you into the stadium. It's time to have a professional take it on for us and get the information that we need to the key people and support to make this happen in the proper way. That's why the need for the lobbyist. I also mentioned there's some things happening over the next couple of years in the automotive industry. It's important that we stay on top of this. It's very difficult for the association to do that, along with providing other services that we provide. So that's why we need the lobbyist, and it's time to do it. Is this a for sure thing? The fact that it's blueback and it's in 62 pages right now, yeah, it is. Is it going to be a law? There's a strong probability that yes. Now, the fact that we've been able to slow it down, will it make it through this year? We seem to think so, because with some of the changes that we've had, we've talked with the representative about that, and actually he feels that there's not enough changes that's going to stop it from going through the system. We don't know. It is something that'll still have to be voted on, it'll still have to go to a committee and so forth. The time is not on our side, but because it's an election year, a lot of things are going to be happening over these next 3 months that we need to be prepared for and be ready to go for. So, that is why the urgency. I'm doing this video because I can't make it around the state and still be effective on this bill and watch this bill for you and still do it in a cost-effective manner and a timely manner. Time is of essence at this point. That's why we're calling on assistance, even if it's $50, $25, or $100, $500, whatever you can afford for the fund. It's important that we sign up and get a contract with GCSI quickly so we can move this forward. I want to thank you for your time. I hope the video helps explain things a little bit more and takes care of some of the questions that have been out there. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me at the office, 517-484-2950, or email me at info@asamichigan.com, and I'll respond as quickly as possible. A lot of time I'll be working on some of these issues along with some of our meetings coming up, so we don't have a lot of leeway here. Please respond. Thank you for your time. Have a great day, and I hope this helps you. Take care.